condos, they're very difficult to close. I was just working on one last night. So seller bought it for $300K, selling it for $500K. So a $200,000 lift over 4 years, right? So with a condo assignment, there's going to be a closing date. So when Colby and I assign that agreement, then there's going to be an occupancy date, which means our tenant moves into the property, we start paying the developer rent until the condo corporation is formed, at which point we have a closing date. So let's work backwards. The closing date is the time when me, the buyer, gets the money from the bank. The occupancy date actually is somewhat irrelevant because that's just the time where I start paying rent to the developer and I move a tenant in. This one is the most important. This is the closing date, okay? So the closing date, there's no bank involved. The bank doesn't jump in until later on. You bought it for 3, you're selling it to me for 5. On the closing date, I gotta give you 200 grand. But I don't have any money from the bank yet. So that's really tough because on closing, I'm gonna put 20% down, right? 20% down on 500K is 100 grand. But wait, I gotta give you 200, and then on the closing date, I only have to give 100, so the bank gives me back 100?
Their deposit, right?
What's that?
Their deposit, so when you give your initial deposit.
Yeah, so this deal that I was working on last night, everybody's, I think, still trying to figure this out. The deal I worked on last night, they wanted their deposit back, plus they wanted the lift.
No.
So they wanted to,
deposit comes in with the profit, so like, okay, so I want to do, you know, the deposit, the deposit needs to stay in there.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's in addition to.
Yeah, so in this specific circumstance, the lift, that 200K, was way more than the deposit. So even if the deposit was held in trust, the lawyers or whatever, the seller wanted his 200K as the lift.
Right.
So our guy was like, wow, I gotta give you 200, sit on it for maybe 18 months, maybe 2 years, until the point where I can actually get a bank mortgage and then get some of my money back. And then I'll just go buy something. So private sales are super difficult these days. And a lot of banks only want to finance the original purchase price, not the appreciated purchase price.
Really?
Yeah. It's becoming more popular now that they're doing the new purchase price, or the new purchase price, rather than the original. But when the whole assignment concept came out, everybody just wanted to finance the original.
But what about the phases of the building? Isn't it hard for them to?
So that's, I think, why everything's starting to catch up now. When there was a lot of scrutiny over speculation in the condo market, that's when they were saying, we'll just do the original because we don't know what's going to happen with all these condos. Now they're doing the new purchase, and they will look at the building too. Like if it's in phase 4, they'll be like, yeah, you know, that makes sense. Or it was purchased 4 years ago, and that makes sense, for example.
They're really cracking down.
There's opportunity in every one of these segments. For example, we have 2 lenders that do assignment sales just beautifully, like perfect. They love them, they understand them, they have an approved list of buildings, they love them. There's other lenders that are old school, they hate them. We stay away from those people for a reason. And that's it, guys. My thank you questions thing didn't show up for some reason, it shows on here. So that's it for me, guys. Any questions? Yeah?
Seems like a lot really fast.
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah.
Are they like leveraging, or are they just taking risk completely off the table? Is that
So yeah, low hanging fruit is what they're looking for.
just chopping it
Yeah.
all off? Okay.
Yeah. So what was A
Yeah.
is now B. What's B is now C. What C is now D. Meaning what used to be a bank client still may be a bank client, but if there's any sort of challenges, becomes a B client, which is like a home trust or an equitable bank client. So you go from like a 3.5 to a 4.5. Clients that used to live in that 4.5% space, that B space, we now have to put in private financing. The clients that used to always live in the private financing world, we don't see a ton of them. Like really with our MO, like we want to see clients progress, right? But there are clients, we all know these people who live in a state of financial drama. Like there's always something happening in their life, right? Somebody's chasing them for money and you wonder like how did they ever purchase this home in the first place? But they live in a private financing world. Those clients have a real challenge in getting private financing these days because the private lenders are saying, well, what about all those nice, easy B clients that we never used to see before? And the B lenders are like, oh, bank clients, yeah. because they're used to seeing like self-employed, no income, and some bruised credit, and now they're seeing like, you know, like the place where I financed my fourplex, I paid a little bit more, but not much. I think I paid 4%, which is okay. But you know, good credit and provable income and everything, and they're like, you just want to come here because you have that VTB? Yeah, that's okay with us. Will you pay? Yeah, we'll pay. You know, we'll pay you a little bit more money, and they financed it, no problem. Banks are now sitting up in their ivory tower saying, yeah, we'll just, you know, we'll take the best of what's available. You know, that's probably a B side, that's probably an alternative side. And of course, banks being banks and opportunists, they're all opening a B division. So every bank has an A side and a B side. We won't do it on the A side, but why don't you send it over to our B side? You know, so that's happening more and more commonly. Street Capital has a B side now, First National has a B side, AMCAP has a B side. I could go on and on and on and on. So, interesting to know for sure.
So what's the point of having an A and B if you're in both of those sectors?
Well, one's more profitable than the other, and most importantly, the funding sources. So, I'm going to explain to you really quickly sort of the secret to banks. So, banks invest in companies that service my channel. So First National and MCAP and Street Capital and all those companies that you guys have heard of, they're all funded by the banks. And the reason is the banks have too much money, right? They need to put out some of their money through their wholesale channels just to keep their money working, because if they don't, they can't give a return to their investors, to their shareholders. So they invest in our side of the business, and those are called funding sources. So they'll say, don't use a mortgage broker, come to a bank, and we'll say, don't go to the bank, use a mortgage broker. The money is all the same. What changes is the person that's giving it to you, the service, the level of advice, the quality, the higher penalties, the more restrictive terms, and that sort of thing. Yeah. We can talk about this all night, so just questions.
So, like, this is just so foreign driven. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, in Barrie, do you feel like you're affected largely by a foreign
It was a short
market?
period of time, I think, that we were affected by the foreign market. You guys agree?
Well, it was a huge influx of people coming south, well, coming north from the
Yeah.
south, basically. They were selling their townhouses for like 1.2, 1.3 and coming and buying stuff up. But a lot of the foreign buyers are coming into the GTA and buying those for those high prices, and that's what was really
Driving it
turning
over,
everything over. Yeah.
I didn't, like, I saw almost zero foreign investor coming into this area. Like, I can think of one property that I know of where, like, a foreign investor, non-resident, came in and purchased. I'm in Horseshoe, and 5 farms down from us, I don't have a farm, but everybody else is around me. That farm sold for, we thought it would never sell, it was like 1.something million, 100 acres, old farmhouse sort of thing. We didn't think it would ever sell, it sold. The story goes, second or third hand, that a foreign investor bought it, allowed the family to stay for $1 a year.
Yeah.
So, like, take care of the lands, because I mean, we know what happens when farmed lands don't get farmed, right? The soil isn't rich, the land loses value and that sort of thing. So stay there, pay the property taxes, pay the utilities, continue to farm the land, and pay me $1 a year, because I just actually need a place to park my money.
Yeah, and that's what's happening, like, and I think that it's sad to see, because I remember when we were actually outpriced from Barrie a couple of years ago, the prices here were really, really high, but that's when we ended up going to Aurelia, right? So where we live, and I feel guilty now, because I think we're like all the cause of this sort of thing, so I'm wondering how long this is going to last for, and I don't think this is going to be a forever thing. But where we're from, especially like, well, Toronto's bad, but Markham even more so, we have large Asian population, and a lot of the people were the foreign-driven market. They're buying these homes, and I'm reading your slides, and it's just incredible to see, because they are just parking their money, and it is severe negative cash flow, because you can't get a townhouse for under $1 million, and then they're renting it out for $1,700 a month. So I'm not a mathematician, but I'm sure everyone can see there's a huge imbalance. They keep it for 1 year, or they'll move their kids in, and then they sell it. So they're just taking advantage of all these different things. So now when all these new rules came in and the market shifted, our market dropped substantially, and now all our houses are just kind of sitting. Like, I mean, they're still very expensive. So the average price for a townhouse is probably now, what, $900,000? But it's just amazing to see what I think they're doing is cooling this market, because the Asian buyers go elsewhere. I mean, they did that with British Columbia, when that tax came in, and a lot of them pulled their money, and they will pull their money from Canada eventually, which will probably soften. Actually, it probably won't soften. I think we probably will kind of regulate ourselves out and have a more healthy housing economy, because we don't really have that now. So I don't think this is a forever scenario.
No, I don't think it's a forever scenario, and I think in terms of investment strategies, it's just realigning it geographically, potentially. Like, we get a lot of phone calls from potential investors saying, I found a property, how much will I lose every month on it? Like, I know what I'm gonna lose. It's not gonna be in the black, it's gonna be in the red. How much am I gonna lose? That's where I would line somebody up with somebody like Colby to say, hey, listen, you don't have to lose. Like, look at this John Street investment, for example. You don't have to lose. Or let's go to Aurelia, because you don't have to lose. Like, there's an alternative to this. And it could be a different strategy. Like, instead of a buy and hold, it could be a fix, flip, rental, or a fix, hold. There's a lot of different strategies, but I think it's realigning an expectation, either geographically, different category. You know, it could be
Or
a
a second suite.
or a second suite, yeah. I mean, if you purchase something with a second suite, you're almost guaranteed not to lose money. Like, I mean, there's still a high demand in your market, I would think, for basement suites. There's no issues renting those things out, yeah. So, you know, that's where I think the opportunity is as well. But, you know, a single unit townhome in Barrie right now, you're not making money on it. How much would a nice South End townhouse rent for?
1650s, 17,
Yeah.
high end.
I bet you that house would cost you $2,000, $2,100 with 20% down. Like, I mean, the best rates you can find, 30-year amortization, 20% down. I bet you it's costing you $2,100 a month, and you're losing $400 a month. Now, the people that are calling me to have this conversation are saying, yeah, but market appreciation, principal pay down. You know,
Well, that's what
I want to
think
engage, I want to own,
yeah.
I want a place for my money, but you know, with those same people, we talk about the fact that you're putting, like, if you bought for $450,000, you're going to be into it for $100K. 20% is 90 plus your closing costs, $100K. You're putting no value on your $100K either. Somebody came into my office with $100K, I'd make them $1,000 a month on a private second mortgage if they wanted to invest. I can make anybody 12% on that sort of thing. I mean, the right investor, obviously. But my point is, you need to put a value on your $100K too. So if you're losing $400 a month, you're really losing $1,400 a month. Now, will you make it up in market appreciation and principal pay down? Yes, in this market, for sure. Because your 450 house will be 500 next year, or 2 years, let's say. But you're still going to make up that $1,400 for sure. If market appreciation evaporated, which, you know, not going to want to happen, you don't want to happen, nobody wants to happen, the only thing you're relying on is principal pay down.
Yeah, well, that's what did happen, because it was going up 26% year after year. So people didn't care about losing all that money, because they were banking on appreciation, they're taking the negative cash flow, and they're letting it go on and on and on. And then now, when the market shifted, the values went way down, so now people actually have underwater mortgages
Yes,
for this.
yes.
So, I mean, I don't know who follows us on Facebook or on our Facebook feed. If you're not on it, join us. We always have these interesting real estate things. But we have a recent article on a house in Stouffville that just kind of, just went through that, you know? And it's disgusting that happened. That's why I always tell people, never bank on appreciation. 26% is a fictitious appreciation rate.
Totally.
You should always do it at 5%. And there's an interesting documentary on Netflix that says, human beings, since the beginning of time, we have this really, really interesting habit of forgetting things, such as like the Depression, and then, you know, the recession, and then another
Very
recession.
superstitious,
So
sorry.
we just kind of go through life on our merry way,
Yeah,
and,
that's
you know,
true.
like, who thought 26% was gonna go on forever? Like, I'm sure most of us in this room, like we.
Here's a great investment strategy. One of my favorites. Find a new construction condo that if you put 20% down on, will make money. And there's a massive opportunity that the property will be worth more than you paid for it before closing.
Yeah.
And you can sell it. And the best part of it is if you sell the paper, think about the return on your deposit. Like, you know, Pratt wanted 25K on the gallery and the junction, you know, and some people made $100,000 lift on those units. So what's your ROI on the $25,000 deposit that you put down? It's massive. If you can sell the paper without ever owning the property, that is a huge return. Now, is it speculative? It could be, but if you go into that investment knowing that with 20% down, you're gonna make some good money, if you don't get the market appreciation, you close on it. You make some good cash flow.
And that's the key right there. You
Yeah.
have to tell them, okay, this is your strategy, your plan A.
Yeah.
Ideally, what is plan B, what can happen here? Okay, so
Yeah.
you can't get an assignee, because remember, you have to go out and find
Yeah.
someone to assign it to. Then you do need to be able to close on it, or you could come up with maybe a JV. So then you have to consider, how did you sign your initial document with the builder? Well, obviously you have that right to assign, so then you can get a JV to go on.
Yeah, so these Meetup condos that we bought downtown, we put a really small deposit on them. It was 4 years ago, that was allowed, that's all they were looking for. So I have a partner on them, my partner wants to sell, I'm not really interested in buying them out. You know, that's been a long project. For anybody that doesn't know, the project went bankrupt and the developers switched and all kinds of crazy
Which
stuff.
one was this? Is the meeting?
Yeah, it's Meetup
Oh,
downtown, yeah. So we've closed on it now and everything else, and my partner wants to sell. My wife's like, we can't sell. Like, we're gonna, you know, after we split all the profits and all the costs and everything else, we're gonna make like $50,000. And I'm like, our deposit was $15,000. And because it took so long, we got a carry-on penalty on every unit, on each unit. So we got $7,500 per door. That covered all the closing costs, all land transfer, all legals, all everything. And then we got first and last when we tenanted it. So like, I think we walked out of that purchase with a check in our hand. You know, like it didn't cost us anything. And if we make 50K, we put down 15 originally. And that's a 300% ROI. Like that is free money. So I keep on telling her that's pool money, but she doesn't want it. Because again, it's free money. Like that's investment returns. That was never planned to be a long-term hold for us. We thought if we have to close on it and it doesn't appreciate, it will cash flow, we'll keep it. It's downtown, it's like 3 blocks from my office. It's great. And it was supposed to be the best building in the downtown. Still maybe one day.
It's the Colliers,
Yeah,
right?
still maybe one day. There's gonna be a Sobeys in it on the second floor. Like it's still maybe one day.
It's a
But
great location.
Mhm.
I walked that building.
yeah, so if it didn't appreciate, it would cash flow. It appreciated and it cash flowed. So, you know, to me, that's a win.
So,
All
any
right.
other questions?
You told me to be done at 9, sorry.
No, we are very sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all
We
right.
go until it
Yeah.
goes. No, we started late.
Yeah.
That's great, that's great. Well, if anyone
Cool.
does have any more questions to
Yeah,
talk
sure.
to, Nick, you do have your cards that you
Cards here, yeah.
passed around, and any more questions, make sure to stick around and ask. Nick, thank you. Let's give him a big